Our coverage of Computex 2026 from Taipei, Taiwan is brought to you by G.Skill, Thermaltake, and Cooler Master. There's music bumping over there. We have some lovely bouquets wishing them well. We have even some booth babes wandering around. Do you guys know where I am? Probably the place where you would want to come at Computex if you were unscrupulous and you wanted to steal something that was very valuable. G.Skill. They're a sponsor. I want to say a big thank you to them for sponsoring my coverage this year. They, of course, make memory. They're not a fabricator of memory, but they purchase the ICs to make memory DIMMs. We're going to cover like 4 different things today. We have ULL memory over here that I talked a little bit about in my AMD video. It's new Expo profiles for ultra low latency. We have the overclocking world stage, of course, and I might be doing a little bit of overclocking. We have some of their highest density and highest speed DDR kits that are on display with some cool demos. And of course, we're going to wrap things up with some of the epic mods that they have on display. So starting over here with what AMD announced, but honestly didn't do a very good job of explaining. AMD Expo featuring ultra low latency. If you're like shopping for this and you want to know what's included, it'll say this logo right here and it will say featuring ultra low latency. That's pretty straightforward. If you watch my AMD video, my summary was pretty much on point. These are going to be memory kits that ship with either a dedicated or an extra Expo profile with not just primary but secondary and tertiary timings. They said about a dozen or so lower level timing sets that you don't usually get configured when you plug in like an XMP or a standard Expo profile. And those are specifically tuned for lower latency to improve gaming performance because gaming and low latency go hand in hand. So this is going to be a pretty standard configuration, DDR5 6000, CL30, but look at the other timings here, especially like this one. This is TRAS. That is often a much higher value, but in this kit it is set to 32. This is a 32 gig kit, by the way. G.Skill is developing these kits in a variety of finishes, as you may have seen before. We have this piano black finish. The lineup is going to be Trident Z5 Neo X RGB. So they've already got Neo RGB, add the X, and that's for ultra low latency. They're still keeping some of the details a little bit close to their chest so they don't have like overlap with potential competitors, but I'm showing you some of their charts to show the latency checker here. And this is the chart that we saw from AMD, which shows if you're going from Expo to ultra low latency, their tests showed about an average of 4% improvements, both on the average FPS and the 1% lows. We have an additional kit here, also DDR5 6000. This one's slightly looser timings. These are going to be coming in a variety of configurations, as is the case with many of G.Skill's memory kits. And this one has sort of a matte black finish, and then we have the white finish there as well. And yes, I just dropped like $1,000. I thought they were stuck. Wow, liability insurance is going to be expensive there. These do, they're not real? No. Okay. All right, I'm told that for the show these are dummy kits, so that makes me feel a little bit better about dropping them. But there's the white finish there with the Trident Z5 Neo X RGB in the center. So having deeper access to timings, especially secondary and tertiary timings, was one of the features of Expo when it first launched, but it hasn't really been leveraged quite as well, and it definitely hasn't been branded specifically. So this is going to be a way for people to get memory that they know is going to be ideally suited for gaming. That said, of course, we're recognizing that there's a memory shortage right now. I asked them how much these would cost. They were like, probably a lot. So while I'm excited for Expo to sort of be expanding and giving access to something like this, you guys are probably right in the comments down below that this memory is probably going to be very expensive right now, and we're hoping that things ease up a little bit in the memory market so that you can have access to some of these cool new things that they're showing off at Computex, such as the collaboration with Cooler Master. If you guys watched my Cooler Master video, you probably saw this. Not the first memory sticks ever that have had active cooling on them. We've seen kits before that have like a thing that straps across the top with fans that blow down to provide some additional memory cooling. DDR5 can run hot, especially if you're overclocking or going for some of the higher speeds. But these, of course, maintain RGB, and then they have a blower fan that is, I am told, very quiet. It's hard to say right now because it's kind of loud in this arena. But now that I see it in a test system, I can actually say that it's going to be ejecting the air out the top right here. I asked G.Skill the same question I asked Cooler Master, which is how does this compare to some of the old school methods where they have like fans across the top. G.Skill said temperature wise it's actually roughly the same, but they said that this is a cleaner solution, it's also quieter, and it's also not going to conflict as much having to have the vertical space to have the fans across the top. G.Skill has a bunch of setups with some of the fastest memory kits that they have. Some of these are overclocked and some of these are running at their shipping speeds. And this particular setup is running on an Intel platform, actually with an Ultra 7 270K Plus. 4 DIMMs up top there. That's a 256 gigabyte configuration, 64 gigs by 4, running a DDR5 6400, cast latency 52. Moving down the line, things are going to get more expensive. This is an RDIMM setup, which is running on a Threadripper Pro 9985WX. I do not know how much money we are looking at right now because this is a 512 gigabyte kit, 64 gigs by 8, currently set up for DDR5 7200 CL46. As we move further down the line, things get more dense and more insanely expensive. Here's a 512 gigabyte setup, 64 gigs by 8. This one is overclocked. It's running an Elmore Labs PMDX2 in there. So we actually have a water-cooled graphics card as well as an external cooler. This has an 8 DIMM configuration running at DDR5 10000 CL52. Again, 8 by 64 gigs. I'm not sure if you can see it. You can mostly see my camera. Oh, there it is. There they are. It's a good idea to keep the tempered glass side panel on this case because you don't want any smash and grab going on. And there is that external cooler. Finally, we have perhaps the densiest memory configuration possible. This is a 768 gig setup. Yes, 768 gigs of RAM, nearing the 1 terabyte limit. How is G.Skill obtaining this level of memory density? Well, they're using 4 ranked DIMMs. It's a little bit difficult to see there, but you can possibly see there's actually 2 ICs stacked on either side. So that's how they're getting this level of density. Even with all those DIMMs on an Asus Pro WS W890E Sage SD motherboard and an Intel Xeon 658X processor, they're still hitting DDR5 8800 speeds. I'm not sure about the timings though. I'm here with Bill from AMD, who is an overclocking expert. Bill, what is your official title with AMD?
My day job is I/O performance analysis and optimization, so making sure that your NVMe drive performs and your system feels snappy and responsive. But then really most of my time is spent on overclocking these days.
Okay, yeah. That sounds more fun anyway.
It is more fun anyway.
Okay, so Bill's been working with LN2 out here. He's got a setup for the CPU, overclocking with LN2, and also a GPU. Still a little bit early in the week to determine like actual frequencies you're hitting, but like what's the hardware you're working with, and like do you anticipate certain improvements that you can do with LN2, and maybe a ballpark estimation of like how much performance boost you can get?
This is brand new, so this will be the first time I'm going to actually let people on the stage play with it. I brought some extra drives and cards, and people brought some stuff, so hopefully I can let other people play with it. Right now, we did a demo back in November, and we hit 4.769 gigahertz, which took the frequency world record for both iGPU and discrete GPU. So we should be able to hit, 4.5, 6, 7, something like that here. And like I said, hopefully I can let some of these guys actually kick the tires on it.
Also, along the line from Bill is the Overclocking World Stage, where they're doing, I don't even know what the goals they're trying to achieve are, but the winner can split a prize pool of up to like $40,000.
Right.
It's part of what G.Skill does every year. Have you ever thought about like elbowing your way into that competition?
No. I could potentially, you could say maybe I could even cheat, right? I could do some firmware hackery or something like that. So I don't generally compete with these guys. What I do is we enable all the overclocking features. I test it in the lab, and then I'll generally try to work with our PR department to release some scores ahead of launch, something like that, just to kind of get hype going. But ultimately, when we release the product, I want to enable these guys that are the real overclockers to go and compete for all the records and the points on HWBot and all that.
Awesome. So you're kind of setting the stage and then letting them do their thing.
Exactly, yeah.
Excellent. So Bill, as you expand the overclocking capabilities at AMD, you guys are focusing a little bit more on GPU overclocking. Like, what are your goals a little bit more long term?
Long term, we would like to basically kind of emulate or replicate the overclocking feature set that we have on CPU and bring that over to GPU, right? So today what I'm bringing is the capability to set, frequency and voltage, and we have a special LN2 mode, very similar to CPU. And so when it detects that you go below some threshold temperature, it'll kick into LN2 mode, and then it'll allow frequency adjustment, and it'll undo the voltage limiters and stuff like that. So you can program it however you want, right?
Awesome. I know a lot of you guys at home have never had the chance to try out some LN2 overclocking. I like hanging out there just because it's nice and cool and it's super hot today. But Bill, any last words before we finish?
No.
Okay. So guys, if you're into overclocking, especially high-end overclocking, if you follow hardware about and stuff like that, the AMD Gaming YouTube channel will be a great source for that. You can check out some of the stuff that Bill has done, or stuff that Bill has done, and then allowed other overclockers to really go crazy with that. So Bill, thank you very much for talking to me today.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul.
Enjoy the show. All right, we got some custom case mods over here. G.Skill always has a bunch of these, and I love to look at them. And they always have something with beer down at the end of the line. So maybe we can get a beverage to show the rest of these. A beer-cooled PC, beautiful, liquid loop. We got the lion face, which has nice gold accents. Can I get a beer? Is it working? It's not working right now? Oh, okay, all right. That's where the beer comes out. Not functional right now, but maybe I'll come back for some. Yeah, not working right now. I think they need to re-tap the keg or something, probably. Here's a mod by KM Studio. I think this one's cool because the whole thing is sitting on a monitor arm. So it looks like it's kind of floating ethereally out in the middle in the air. Gold accents, and look, like if you get a low angle, that's a pretty cool effect, I gotta say. Next we have a build by Scatterbencher. This one is seriously overclocking oriented. We have a bunch of like analog dials at the top showing stuff like humidity, current, system power. Some readouts down here at the bottom showing benchmark results, voltage, current, and power. Very compact little build, I like it. GGF Customs did this build, you may have heard of them. They do epic work, they do such clean job with the tubing runs and everything. I love the open top of this one so you can see the radiator positioned on the other side, and they also have a clean distro plate set up with some silver finish on the tubing. Over here we have a wheel. JP Modified is the modder who put this assembly together, and this looks like a bit of a crossover between automotive and PC overclocking. I really like that the wheel is actually turning. That's pretty cool, and that's where the system actually is. You gotta look in through there. You can see you got a mini ITX build down at the bottom. I've noticed there's a lot of crossover between the automotive and the PC guys, so it's cool to see that. Next from Techlin Mod, we have this beautiful looks like a candy dispenser, or like a toy dispenser you might find. Put in your money and the stuff comes out down at the bottom. This is actually built in a Thermaltake Tower 600 case. I would not have been able to tell you that right out of the gate because it's got so many custom side panels. Little accents on the side, beautiful. I like the color scheme too. I'm sure my daughter would love this one. From Modding Cafe, we have yet another like aquatic themed one. We had like a manta ray one last year I should say, which was pretty awesome. This one's really cool because the tail's actually swishing back and forth. Cooling by Bits Power, it's got an 8800X 3D and an RTX 5080 in there. Mini ITX motherboard, of course, as is the case often with these mods because the focus is on what you can build around the motherboard. I also love how they have a flow indicator positioned down there at the bottom. That's beautiful. One over here on the side as well. This one is my favorite, I have to say. We have a, what do you call them? Sentinels? Sentinels? I want to say. That sounds right to me. Matrix Sentinel. By WMP, we have this one. This is my favorite. A Matrix Sentinel. As far as I can tell, we seem to have been able to confirm that. Look at the arms. Look at the rotation. Look at even what they did with like a distro plates down at the bottom, making more of the build functional. That is actually the GPU positioned right there. You can see the radiator sticking in back there. The cooling loop is actually passing up through the head right here, and then this is where the main motherboard is with the memory and a Delta Mate block on there, it appears. I don't know what to say about this one. I'm speechless. It's gorgeous. As you can see, a lot of people feel the same. And Elmore Labs always has a demo going on here at the G.Skill booth. This time, they've made it look like a rocket, which is really cool. Got the Elmore Labs logo there on the front. This is called Shaggy SVK. Basically, this is automated LN2 overclocking. So it's maintaining a negative 100 degrees Celsius temperature on the CPU right there, but it's also maintaining the levels of the LN2, and it's ejecting it down here at the bottom somewhat dramatically. I also need to respect the don't touch sign. Really cool that you can even see the frost build up on the table as it ejects the excess LN2 in order to maintain that temperature, because overclocking, like high-end overclocking, is very challenging, and maintaining a stable temperature can be very important for that. I guess the last thing I get to do here is press the launch button, which... Hold the launch... That's awesome. All right, guys, that is all the time I have for the G.Skill booth. I hope you have enjoyed this coverage. I know the memory situation is challenging right now, so I appreciate those of you who have stopped by to watch. If the memory is depressing for you, hopefully these case mods have sort of brought things back around. But I want to say a huge thank you to G.Skill for sponsoring my coverage for Computex 2026, as well as Thermaltake and Cooler Master. I have more videos coming at you real soon, so check the playlist in the video description. We'll see you all in the next one.